Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath.
The podcast where we discuss relationships in movies and our relationships with them.
I'm Polina Grenville.
And I'm Diana Rojek-Sconard.
Hello, Diana.
Hello, Polina, my ambassador of Quan.
always happy to be someone's ambassador of Quan.
There it is, right there.
I wish I had more Quan in my life.
Yeah, I could go for that right now.
I'm a terrible ambassador of Quan.
Well,
you need another ambassador of Quan.
We'll
That's
work
what
on
you've
that.
learned.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel confident that you will.
We are here.
We are
here and talking about Jerry Maguire.
I can't believe it.
1996.
I can't believe either we are talking about it or it's taken us this long.
Really now?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you anticipated that I would bring this up sooner?
I think I did.
Okay.
Not really sure why. Now that I think about it, I think it's just like one of these sort of, I think when we can see it's this sort of, it's another iconic kind of romantic movie. Though I see that it's not listed as a comedy. It's listed as a drama.
I think a lot of people classify this
melodrama.
I think a lot of people classify this as a romantic comedy because there are funny parts in it.
There are.
Here's my question for you, because I kind of pile them together. It's High Fidelity-esque, where it's a rom-com, but it's very male-centric. And I'm not even talking about this.
Interesting. I don't think about it. No, you're right. Now that you say that actually makes some sense.
I also kind of put it in the same barrel. I'm not saying they're the same movies, but the same barrel as Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't at all.
Where there's romance and comedy. Therefore, it must be a rom-com. I'm like, well, let's think about this for a second. But it's...
I feel like those, I guess where I feel like I put Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in a different category wherein it's, because it has a sort of fantastical element, almost like I want to say it's I don't really sci-fi, but it's got this fantastical element, and it also uses like romantic comedy tropes, and kind of messes with them. I guess that's why I don't put Jerry Maguire in the same place, but I actually see I see where you're going.
I have a special list in this thing, and not to get too far off into this list, and we'll go back to Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
But
Eventually we'll have to talk.
I'll also put 500 Days of Summer in this bucket that I have created.
Oh,
so you see kind of where I'm going?
Kind of, but it's funny. I actually wouldn't have, but actually rewatching this movie was so different than when I saw it the first time.
When was that, Polina?
So I actually, we were trying to figure. I have a memory of watching this with Sean, my husband.
Not your husband at the time?
No, he was not.
Okay. Context.
And I feel like we saw it in a theater, but that actually, like, if I think back to our lives then, that doesn't really drive, but it's not like totally outside the realm of possibility. More likely, I probably saw it with a bunch of people. I'm thinking my friend Jillian, and that might have been it. That I saw it with my friend Jillian and Dave. We used to all live in the same apartment building, and on Fridays when we were so exhausted from our jobs, sometimes we'd go, but that was like later. I don't know. Anyway, I think I saw it I really do remember seeing it in a theater, whether it was like first run. And then I probably have seen it once, maybe either I've seen it another time all the way through, which could be like TV when I was sick or like, but I don't think it was like, I didn't seek it out. It kind of happened. And then I feel like I've watched half of this movie like on TV or something.
Okay. We'll get to watching fractions of this movie.
But Sean and I cannot agree with this. We're like, I feel like that feels true, but also feels untrue. So
do you keep your stubs?
No.
You don't? Okay.
No.
Do you throw them out immediately after the movie's over?
I mean, usually they just bounce around in the bottom of my purse for a while.
Okay. Just wondering about that. Because I keep my stubs.
Oh, you keep stubs?
Yeah. I think they're located in like 4 different parts of the house based off of what generation of my life it's from.
Oh, that's interesting. I used to save all my stubs. And then it's like, after a while, you're like, I've moved, you move across the country. What are you going to do? Like, you're going to keep all, like, you have 2 suitcases. You're going to take all your movie stubs. I had my concert stubs for the longest time.
Okay. Well, that feels right for you. Yeah. Being more attached to your concert than your movie stubs.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on 1 second. So Jerry Maguire, 1996.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is from the Google search results. When slick sports agent Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise, has a crisis of conscience, he pens a heartfelt company-wide memo. It's not a memo, it's a mission statement that promptly gets him fired. Desperate to hang on to the athletes that he represents, Jerry starts his own management firm with only single mother Dorothy Boyd, Renée Zellweger, joining him in his new venture. Banking on their sole client, football player Rod Tidwell, Academy Award winner for this performance, Cuba Gooding Jr.
So good.
Jerry and Dorothy begin to fall in love as they struggle to make their business work. Now,
all right, what are your issues with it? You have that issue face.
My issue face?
you're like, what I just read is like...
Oh, I thought you were talking about the movie, or were we talking about the description?
No.
Well, first of all, it's not a memo, it's a mission statement.
That is... The fact that they missed that is very telling.
And it made me think about an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will has his... it's the Soul Train episode, and he has a Don Cornelius... Well, here's the thing, though. It's like, you have a doll of Don Cornelius. It's not a doll. It's an action figure. So every time he kept saying it's a mission statement, I keep thinking it's an action figure. And the other half of that was when he decided to just leave the whole thing. There's this episode of Futurama. He's like, yeah, well, I'm going to start my own theme park with blackjack and hookers.
See, that one for Fresh Air thing, like that's definitely like... I was the wrong age for that, so I've missed it entirely.
Sure.
Though I totally understand why people feel a great deal of affection for like when I have caught episodes of it, I'm like, if
you were the right age,
if I was the right, I would have been so all over the show, so all over it. But
I won't do it. But I'm wondering how many words of the theme song I remember. No, I'm not going to do it. Keep going.
Damn. Maybe we should set up a Patreon. So
people will not pay for that.
I don't know. I would. What was it? Oh yeah, but the Futurama thing, much more.
Hold on. I just saw this whole review from Teresa Tellerico.
Oh, from Common Sense Media.
This is a feel-good movie, the kind that has viewers rooting for an everyman who struggles to do the right thing in a world where it's much easier to do the opposite. No, yeah, Tom Cruise, the everyman.
No,
he didn't ride a motorcycle in this one, but he did do the running. So he did do his regular Tom Cruise.
There was some running.
There was some running there. Okay. Here's the deal.
He did his own stunts. He fell over.
No, he actually did Rod Tidwell stunts as well. I'm sorry, that was a joke from Ryan, where it's at this point where that's how Tom Cruise got into doing his own stunts.
Oh,
he just decided, I don't do enough in this movie. Can I take the tackle to the head concussion causing thing in this one? Ugh. I bet you he did it. I mean, come on, he's flipped over, so you don't see who's in the helmet.
That's true, you don't.
All right, yes, and I promise this.
They probably just fought about it. That's what I imagine. That Cuba Gooding Jr. and Tom Cruise just spent like 3 days fighting over it.
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but Ben Stiller does a Tom Cruise impression. And
yes.
If you ever wondered where that impression came from, it has to be from this movie, because Tom Cruise is at his peak cruiseness of just like beaming smiles and just like manic, what have you. And he's not even jumping on a couch yet.
No, this is right before, right?
No, it's like 10 years.
Way before.
10 years beforehand.
I was trying to put this in. I think he was this is sort of mid Mission Impossible Cruise.
You go ahead. I'll look up when the first one actually came.
Definitely it's because I read a contemporaneous review that talked about the fact that he was in Mission Impossible films, but I just didn't look it up. Okay, so when did you see this movie?
Well, definitely not in the theater, because I this wouldn't be the kind of thing that I would see in the theater, but probably.
Why not?
I'm 13.
Yeah.
So I'm watching.
Sorry, I didn't mean to out you.
Nah, I'm good. So I
was 23.
Oh, interesting. Mission Impossible, the first one came out in 96 as well.
Oh.
So it's like we're right there. So this is a rent from Blockbuster type of thing. It's got good reviews, Academy Award nominated, so I got to see what this is all about type of movie.
But why wouldn't you have gone to see that in a theater?
In the theater?
Were you not into Tom Cruise? Was it
not into Tom Cruise? In fact, I was the anti-Tom Cruise because everyone's just like, oh my God, it's Tom Cruise. And so
I get it.
I have to be contrary to that.
I think that was probably why it surprised me because actually, as we know from as our longtime listeners know.
Hey, Pat.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Jen.
Yeah.
There are others. I had this crush on Tom Cruise when I was a teenager. I was really embarrassed by it. So
shame, ding.
Shame, because I wanted to be contrary.
Ding. Oh yeah.
Plus, he's kind of slimy in this movie.
Well, slimy who finds his way out of slimy.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, sort of goes. I don't know. He sort of seems to. He seems to sort of get off at the sliminess exit and then maybe find a way off, onto non-slimy highway, but then takes the wrong left turn and ends up in the wrong lane, ends up back in slimy. That's my take.
And that's the movie.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, I mean, okay, so I watched this. I owned it on VHS. Mm-hmm. And then when I subsequently transferred over to DVD, I had it on DVD as well. Okay. But I don't think I watched it very often. But here's why it was very convenient to have it on DVD instead of VHS.
Because you could watch only the Cuba Gooding Jr. parts?
Okay. Stop reading my notes.
Sorry.
Stop reading my notes. More importantly, the good parts with Cuba Gooding Jr. in it, because when I suggested this, I know I made a crack about the little kid and the human head weighs 8 pounds. Mm-hmm. But this time around, when I actually started the movie, there were two things that popped in my head. Crap, I forgot there was a cute kid in this movie.
Me too.
And the second, which is so funny because he's just like the big selling point.
I remember him being cute, but I didn't remember how cute.
No. Not cute, Polina. Cute.
Yeah.
The cute kid is getting this.
See, that's what I was worried about, but actually I enjoyed the cute kidness of it.
It was actually fun because his is an innocence that's permeating through this other grossness of this movie.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is just, crap, I gotta go watch that sex scene with Kelly Preston.
Yeah, I forgot about that entirely as well, which is shocking because, you can always count on me remembering the weird sex, but I did not remember it at all. I don't even remember I remember so little of this movie.
Do you remember an ex-girlfriend in this movie?
I remember there was one, but I don't remember her being the fiance.
Right. And I got to give her credit for this because she is evil and she pulls it off.
Oh, she totally does. She's sociopathic.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
She plays sociopathic. It's not great as a human being, but like as a performance.
As a performance.
She really nails it because you're like, this woman is a sociopath, but it makes perfect sense.
Because she's in like the highly competitive realm of sports.
Yeah,
she has to serve she has to serve this contrast to this very innocent single mother with the precocious kid who owns a home in Southern California.
Well, with her sister.
I don't know if it's with.
Really? I couldn't really figure it. I kind of got the feeling it was like a family home. Yeah.
She made it seem like it was her house because she was.
Oh, that's interesting that you were like, wait, you mean Renee's
Bonnie
Zellweger, no, Dorothy Boyd. Dorothy owns a house.
It made it seem like she owned the house because she was always complaining about the divorced women's group that was in the house all the time.
Yeah.
But you may be right. That actually makes more sense. But we might be putting this whole post-housing crisis lens of California
I think that's it. It was 1996. I lived here and I lived in San Francisco and I felt like I was really living large and I was working in a bar, granted a very, very busy and popular bar 4 days a week.
Yep.
3 really sometimes.
Right. So it's kind of an eyebrow raise. I didn't know if this was the unrealistic version of the movies or if this was just, this is back when homes were affordable.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this
96.
Around 1994, 95, I saw Sleeping with the Enemy in a packed theater in Manhattan. And I think she leaves Manhattan. She goes to some small town. I forget exactly where, but basically at one point she like rents a movie. I mean, sorry, she rents a house, an entire gigantic house.
Sure.
With like 2 stories and like 8 bedrooms, or not 8, but it was like a big solid normal look. And everyone in Manhattan, it was like 1994, 95 goes, damn, like the whole theater. So the entire movie, no one reacted nearly like none of the jump scares, none of the like, no one reacted with nearly as much excitement as when they found out how much that house was rented for.
But it turns out it was built on an ancient burial ground, right? And that's why it's so cheap?
No, it was a perfectly fine house.
No, I know.
I get. That was a joke. And
Jump
I did
scares.
not. Yes, and you.
Okay. Well, come on. If it's that cheap, if you have watched that season of American Horror Story,
which I haven't because I'm terrified of horror movies.
With Cuba Gooding Jr., they also cheap enough. You can never mind.
I hate American Horror Story because they really make me want to watch it, and I know if I do, I'm just gonna like not sleep for a month.
Just watch it with your spouse and allow for a little bit of his arm that you will permanently scar because you're digging your fingers into his arm.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Or maybe you should get like a falcon, like a falcon glove. You could, like a falconing glove, like, and then I could just not hurt him.
You can also do what I do: pause it, and then I calm down, and then we watch it some more.
Yeah, I have to do. I sort of have to do a lot of like he watches it and tells me when it's not going to be.
I really don't want to talk about Jerry Maguire.
No, obviously not. But actually, I do. So let's do it.
Okay, fine. So here's the deal with this. Back to that comment you made earlier about like watching certain parts of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to know which parts.
When Ryan and I were watching this together, I don't think I watched. Okay, so this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes.
It is.
This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes.
It really is.
And when we were 1 hour and 40 minutes into this, I'm like, oh my God, there's still 40 minutes left in this movie.
Oh, wow.
And in between, it's just like, I have vague notions of these things. I remember watching Jerry Maguire with probably my parents. I don't remember for sure. But when that sex scene came on again, I'm just like, I don't remember this at all. And I was still...
And you would have remembered because you would have been watching it with your parents when you were 14.
Well, I had seen it and then I watched it again. I'm like, let's watch Jerry Maguire. This is a fun movie. And then that scene came and I'm just like, why am I watching this with people?
Yeah.
So there is that. But
there was I forgot about that sex scene entirely.
What's so funny is that I didn't watch a lot of parts. Like him and his... I'm going to call it a manifesto because it's a memo. It's a mission statement.
It's not a mission statement because a mission statement is by definition short. You're right. It's a manifesto.
Well, a well-written mission statement is short. This is a stream of consciousness that...
Yeah, but he's clearly... So are we to imagine that he seems like he had food poisoning?
Is that what that was? Because of the sweats?
The sweating and the fact that he couldn't sleep and he had a fever, like he was...
So you think that it wasn't a crisis of conscience. It was a kid told him to fuck off and then he had food poisoning and he channeled that into... I don't think his writing would have been as prolific. Also, I think he would have been throwing up more.
Yeah, but like it definitely felt fever. Like I do think that both of them are involved, but I can't figure out, like, I'm like, there's so much sweating. And he does mention having bad pizza, old pizza later.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if he got like...
Interesting.
We're just not seeing the vom. I don't know. It was sweatier than I recall. But I recall
Polina, sweaty Tom Cruise. Isn't that right up your alley?
Yeah.
I don't know how attraction works. I'm sorry.
That is BS. Everyone knows. Most people know how to attract. I have to say, I realized so much of this movie. I was like, no longer have a crush on Tom Cruise. Like, it's official. Even though I think I enjoyed this movie a ton more than you did.
I believe, like then and now, or also now?
Now.
Okay. Well, no. Okay, fine. Allow me to pull back, shall we? I think I honestly, the parts that I enjoyed were, so like, I didn't even watch them get married when I was younger. When I watched this movie over and over again.
Interesting. Why?
I didn't really watch them getting married because I didn't give a shit, as it turned out. It turns out what I really enjoyed is one, Jerry Maguire being a better person. So it's like, no, I don't want to see the growth. I want to see the part where he's already...
the results.
I want to see the results.
I don't want the process. I want to see the results.
It's like watching The Biggest Loser. I just want to see the before and the after. Yeah. I don't want to see the struggle. I don't want to see the growth. I don't want to see him fall over. Okay,
Oh,
no.
that was so painful.
No. I
And
take
so
that back.
great.
I don't believe I watched the part where Jerry got fired, but I watched the part afterward where he was scrambling for his clients back.
Yeah.
Because that's a fun scene.
It was fun. I mean, it was really stressful, but it was fun.
I don't know.
It was actually less fun now. I think I enjoyed it.
right. And also,
It felt too real.
I was a really big fan of Jay Mohr. I have since kind of dropped off because of reasons. But I listened to his podcast for a really long time, and it was really interesting. So just listening to him talk about how he got that role, he actually does really good impressions of people too.
Oh, that'd be fun.
All over the place, like Tracy Morgan and Al Pacino, and just all of these different. He does a Forrest Whitaker too.
Ooh,
it's pretty cool.
Okay,
it's pretty cool. So it's interesting.
I may have to
Just look up the impressions. Don't necessarily.
All right.
But
you know me well.
but if it's, I'll watch that part. I didn't watch him storm out. I didn't really care about that. I'm just like, oh wow, he's taking the fish. I really didn't watch this, and so
I don't remember. I didn't remember the fish, and I didn't remember. I do remember him storming out.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember him drunkenly coming over and groping his employee. That was fantastic. I actually repeated it.
I totally do want to talk about how that got handled. It was
her boob?
No.
Okay.
No, just like how they dealt with that.
I didn't like the fact that, because she's so attracted to him, I assume, in this movie. That was what they were trying to portray. He's just like, oh my God, you just called me boss. I feel like Clarence Thomas. She's just like, well, I'm not gonna sue you. And I'm
that
like,
was weird. That's the thing. It was very awkward. Because at first I was like, oh man, this is gonna be one of those things where I'm gonna be bothered by it, and then I'm gonna feel like we're being bothered by it. And then he's like, oh my God, I did do a terrible thing. Like, I am Clarence Thomas, which in 1996 is like
a big deal.
A big deal. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then she said that thing about I was like, I don't know how to feel on this. Like, she did leave.
Well, Ryan was saying that he apologized, and I'm like, did he though?
He kind of did. He was like,
he recognized that he did a shitty thing, but he didn't apologize.
Yeah, I guess he didn't. But I think
Ryan was saying that that's the apology, and I'm like,
yeah,
is it though?
Well, yeah. And
hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'm getting a wave from my husband.
Yeah.
Which come to the mic.
Yeah. Come here.
This is how it goes. So I myself am of the opinion that him recognizing what he did. 2 points. You get 2 points for recognizing what you did. Now the apology, the actual, idea behind I'm sorry.
He didn't actually say, well, and it was kind of about how he feels.
I'm really big on apologies being like containing a certain amount of things.
Okay.
All right. What is it that you'd like to say, honey?
I didn't use the word apologize. I had said that he demonstrated remorse.
Okay.
Well, that's not fun for the podcast, so go away.
Yeah. I think he demonstrated remorse. Like, he maybe needed to demonstrate a little bit more.
How about a little bit of don't do it in the first place?
Yes.
But people grow. So
but it's right. But actually, and it was kind of pivotal to the whole, I actually feel like that scene was pivotal because basically she's been lusting after him. And then, but then he just kind of kisses her and gropes her in sort of a way that I think even she finds unpleasant. And so it was like, I think it was part of this movie's sort of arc.
Remember how you said, I don't want to be this way about it, but then he's showing remorse, but then she says this, I'm going to be that way about it.
Well,
yeah.
fine.
And I'm going to say her comment of just I'm not going to sue you.
Yeah. I didn't love that.
To me, that was oh, this was written by a man.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was like, don't let him off the hook.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, though, if you're welcoming it, but
that's
also hesitating about it.
She's dressed up. I mean, and not
not in that instance. She was in the cardigan. The sexy cardigan.
She was in the sexy cardigan when it happened. Oh my God.
She's great in this movie.
See, that's what I would have done. I just would have gone for the, Bonnie Hupp. Okay. So having rewatched it.
Yep.
So there were a lot of parts you don't remember because you were like,
well, a lot of parts I didn't watch on repeat. The parts that I watched.
Did you watch the kiss? They're when they go on the sort of date that, kind of mysteriously happened, and they had that kiss before they have sex.
You mean the thing on the porch that I'm just like, Ryan, what's happening? What's happening right now? Why are they on the porch? Is there somebody inside? They can go inside. They have a perfectly wonderful place where they can go. And he's trying to explain to me well, we're very private people, so we wouldn't be doing
it's
that.
also there's a lot of space between houses. There's a big house. You're not. And yes, you are more private. Like I kind of think of street stuff as like
he broke her dress.
Private. Yeah. But the reason I'm asking is that's another thing I don't remember, that I was like, wait, why is this movie considered like this kind of height of romance movie?
Mm-hmm. He's clumsy. He's an idiot. I don't think he fell in love with her for a while. Yeah.
But then that scene I found, I don't know if it was the mood I was in or what, but I found like that, especially after when they start, like very, very like appealing. Like it was a really good kissing scene, and it was very like how slow was in the sort of romance of it and the kind of laughing and awkward, and her reaction of like, she's like, I'm standing outside. I'm standing. Why am I doing this? And like, I don't know. It just felt like it felt very much like, yeah, it was like that kind of date that you remember for a really long time.
Well, okay. So I
really liked it.
I wrote this down. So in watching it, in the originally, we'll just say that I did, and then the movie stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Watching it now, I wrote this down. I am not comfortable with Tom Cruise in a romantic context anymore, because he's been in so many action movies. He has fully embraced his whole like, I'm going to do this amazing stunt. Watch me as I latch onto this plane, and I'm really doing it. So him having a romantic interest in a movie is like few and far between. So when it does happen, it's unsettling to me. And we were talking about like people in love with Tom Cruise or being attracted to Tom Cruise. The only time I've ever been attracted to Tom Cruise, air quotes around there, is this one scene in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation where he's handcuffed or something to a pole, and he does this thing where he like hurls himself up by sheer ab strength. And I'm like,
I remember
I get it. But then again, that could have been anyone doing that.
Yeah, because I don't really like action movies that much, I've seen like maybe one, possibly two Mission Impossible films. Oh, I probably have seen two, possibly three. Maybe I'm actually.
Please tell me one of them was Mission Impossible 2, the worst one.
I don't even remember.
Fight me on the internet.
I don't even remember. I could not even tell. Like, I think I enjoyed some part of the movie. I mean, I enjoyed it, the first one.
Was it the one where he chased the plane? Was it the one where he was on the plane? Was it the one where he was on the building? Was it the one where he was on the cliffs? Was it the one where Henry Cavill did the thing with his arms?
I think this is where you're starting to point out, it's that thing
problem with Mission Impossible
the problem
movies?
With like me remembering and how I generally feel about action movies, which is like the thing on the plane.
Let me help.
I have no idea.
Was it the one with Angela Bassett?
Oh, I did see the one with Angela Bassett.
Hello.
I think it's just because of Angela Bassett. Okay,
well, exactly. I just wanted an excuse to bring her up.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you.
So
okay.
Let me actually.
For me, actually.
Oh, go ahead.
So the Tom Cruise action movie, Tom Cruise, was actually something I had a much harder time wrapping my head around.
Tom Cruise is an action star.
Yeah,
he fully embraced. Do you like him as a dramatic actor?
No.
Oh,
I like it when he does something weird.
Like flip out?
No, I like it like Magnolia. Or,
I was going to ask you.
Like that kind of thing.
Or in Tropic Thunder?
Okay. Yes.
That made me have him. I love this. That got him back on my good side again.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, I guess like because I don't tend to have those kind of relationships. I was like, oh, okay. It was a thing I liked, and now I don't like it. I just can't even I can't really attach myself to the jobs that actors take.
There's the difference between you and me. We've brought this up many times.
Yes. So but I will say that I feel like this movie does play with this relationship that both you and I have with Tom Cruise in a really interesting way, especially the difference that we have, because the thing about rewatching, I think the first time I was like, oh, he's meant, I felt like, oh, he's probably meant to be attractive because that's, but like, I felt like this movie, there's especially the Bonnie Hunt character really kind of plays with this idea of him as like the kind of unctuousness of him, like really, people mention like as, it's both good and bad.
I'm not sure I followed that, but bless Bonnie Hunt for being the voice of reason in this movie.
Basically, I think you are supposed to think he's too slick.
Well, he's a sports agent.
Yeah.
And also I liked that she said to him, and he better not be attractive. Opens the door.
Yeah. And then he opens, she's like,
Yeah.
And yet she's still attracted. Like she finds him attractive.
Yeah,
like
when he hugs her, she's like, oh, okay.
He goes, oh, thank you for inviting me. He goes, no, thank you. Okay,
fine.
So when you rewatch it.
No. Eight more times as I try to do it. The parts that I watched are the parts naturally where the big game, like all the games in between, like the big playoff game where he's with Rod and they go through the whole crisis of Rod, and then there's the resolution, and then he runs back to his wife, and the whole big dramatic scene. And it was unfortunately kind of sullied with her line, Renée Zellweger, where she's in the divorce group and she's just like, oh, they're just a bunch of angry women. And I'm like, as I am now in my, mid 30s, and a lot of my, I'll just say it, my misogyny has like slowly dwindled after having many female relationships and realizing exactly what she's just saying. Like, but this is what you were saying before. She's like, I think I'm finally with you guys. Men are the enemy, but I still love them. And I'm like, is that
still love the enemy?
No, and I'm like, is that meant to be cutesy or something? I'm like, I think you've missed the point entirely of that divorce group, that these women have been in this really bad place and they're trying to support each other. And she's just like, you're right, men are the enemy. And I'm like, what are you doing?
I think she's also meant to be a lot younger. I think that's what's kind of interesting, is because...
And I hate her. I hate my 26-year-old self. No, she was fine. I hate my 20-year-old self. Well, no, I'll get there. See, I'm trying to be really nice to myself. This is my positivity trying to, come out.
Yeah, you should be nice to yourself. I think healing, because I hated I felt like my 20-something year old self was kind of an idiot, and I'm trying to be like a little nicer to her.
Right. But I hate her. I hate Renée Zellweger.
she's now she's your...
Well, anyone who's going to spew out that kind of negativity and then also come back with, but I still love them is just, oh, honey, I can't get on board with you right now. You. And then he comes in and he gives one of the most iconic lines of a movie ever. If you read like the AFI lists or whatever.
Yeah. See, those are all the ones that like, I think I literally would not have remembered anything about this movie if You Complete Me and You Had Me at Hello were...
Show Me the Money.
And Show Me the Money. I mean, Show Me the Money being definitely the most fun one. Was like I think I would have completely forgotten about it, but it's like that one of those movies that like gets the groove in your head gets reinforced.
Well, if I can use that opportunity, I'm going to put a poll on our Twitter page for this. But what did you hear more often? Show Me the Money or Yeah, Baby, Yeah in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they equally annoy me.
What is your answer?
I think Yeah, Baby, Yeah was more because I had a lot of friends who were into Saturday Night Live. So I might have been a perpetrator of it, and I apologize. I think I went to a lot more Austin Powers themed parties. So probably Yeah, Baby, Yeah. But I feel like Show Me the Money. Which one annoyed you more?
Oh, Yeah, Baby, Yeah.
Got it.
Because not very many people can pull it off.
Got it. Oh, okay. So I also watched the part where Rod goes on the TV show talking about how he's not going to cry. And then he does. So spoiler, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But all through this, I'm like, it turns out I was not really invested in the romance of Jerry Maguire and Dorothy. And as I was getting ready to rewatch this, I'm just like, I get the feeling I'm not going to care about them all that much. But I do have a really good sense of remembering enjoying the interactions of Rod and Marcy. And so I was hoping to cling to them for some sort of enjoyment.
Yeah.
And then I realized, Rod needs to be taken down a few notches, because if he's the guy who's saying like, I want to get mine, I'm just like, you got to be a team player though, buddy. I mean, you can't just be like boo-hoo.
Well, they do. I mean, that's kind of
he finally gets there.
Yeah. Like, I guess like to me, I think a lot of my memory of this movie was so off, and I was watching it with Sean, and he was like, I don't remember them, because we're watching it at home, we like would stop the movie to go like get a snack or, you know, do whatever.
2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah. It was like twice. It wasn't that bad. I stopped, but we stopped to like go to the bathroom, and we're like, I don't remember them. The arc of the movie is very different rewatching it. Like it's actually a more interesting movie than I remember. There's like, because I guess if someone asked me to describe this movie, you know, 24 hours ago, I would have been like, oh, they get together at the end.
Oh no, they get married in the middle.
That's the thing. I totally like it all happened so much faster. And so it was a much more interesting movie for me because I was like, how did they find their way back to each other?
Right.
And it just kind of, and then the Cuba, you know, the Rod, Rod and Marcy, they, you know, the people like he explains, he explains why he needs to get his, which is not because he actually doesn't, it's not money. He wants to take care of his family so badly.
Yep.
And they're very clear, and they don't have a fantasy of like, oh, you know, I'm like, it doesn't matter what happens. I'm just doing what I love.
He also wants to stay in Arizona specifically. I'm sure he would have had a better opportunity, but he wants to stay in Arizona
like
with his family.
Yeah. But but I think the fact that he has a chip on his shoulder is like kind of key, because if he can't be like the perfect character, because he has to be a flawed guy, because then he wouldn't have to work so hard.
Well, it could also, you could run up with the fact that just the industry itself is stacked up against you. So there's an opportunity for, you know, conflict there without him being a huge asshole. But I like seeing the growth of the character.
Yeah.
Especially in the growing relationship of him and his agent.
Yeah.
But things that like made me, that I newly appreciated rewatching this movie.
Yeah. What else?
One, Marcy taking Jerry to task about how, excuse me, you know, we have marketing degrees. We know what we're doing here. And we know that we're not going to get far if you keep pushing us to these, you know, crappy commercials that are local and stuff like that. So I really appreciated her.
Yeah. Regina, like I can't believe, I mean, I remember enjoying her, but I was like, man, I really did not really take as much pleasure in Regina King's role of Marcy as like they were fantastic. Yeah. I kind of appreciated, there was just kind of more to it.
And the part where they're sitting by the fax machine, waiting for the offer to come, the first offer. And you've got her, you've got, you know, Rod, you've got Renée Zellweger, and you've got Tom Cruise. And I'm just like, honey, come here. 3 of the people in this scene have won Academy Awards. Who do you think didn't win one? I know. I'm just like, well, that's not very nice. But at the same time, it's not who you think.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And then
I think Academy Awards are bullshit. So.
Oh, wow.
I feel very strongly about that.
I believe
that's why I don't really care.
Oh.
Like, I just think it's BS.
They're so shiny.
I held one once, and it's very heavy.
Okay,
I know. I love that story.
I think these are. Now, were you holding it? Were you also like wiping your butt with it because you think they're bullshit?
No. I mean, I'm like, I feel like I'm super. Yeah, like a friend of my husband's has got one for documentary film, for 20 Feet from Stardom, and which is an amazing film. And it was a great I think he's an amazing documentary filmmaker. Like, I really, really do. Morgan Neville's a fantastic documentary filmmaker, and.
Can you get him?
I'm happy that I wish, maybe, but he's a little busy. I think he's a little busy.
Don't be dropping names.
But I think so I don't think him getting one is bullshit. I'm just saying this whole like weird idea that people have of like, oh, I'm surprised that so-and-so didn't get it. But this, you know, is like, well, obviously if you look through history, like the movies that like didn't get it in years are like, it's weird. I don't understand. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of a messed up system.
It is.
But I will say that thing was very heavy. And it was really cool to touch it. Like, no, I'm not that much of a cynic where I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't want to hold it. I was like, can I hold it? Can I hold it? Can I hold it? And I did. And it was very heavy. It was really cool. Like, it was a very cool moment. I'm very happy about it. So, you know, this is the problem. I'm not that principled about it. I just am never surprised when people are like, these people won Academy Awards. I'm like, oh.
That was me. That was me who said that.
Yeah. I'm just saying that, it's not, Anyway.
All right. So let's think about this for a second. I've already hinted to it a little bit about the romance of this.
Yeah. So now rewatching it, do you feel differently about the romance of it?
Well, I didn't care about the romance of it before.
I know, but did you care this time?
This time, I still didn't care. And again, I was more highlighting the established couple with their, just the way they behave with one another. There's no shame in their love of one another and their family and how, destroyed she is when she sees him. And I hate those commentators when they're just like, oh, he seems to be unconscious. It's times like this. You hope his family's not watching. And I'm like,
it's like, well, would they not be watching? Why would they not be watching it?
Like this was written in the script.
Yeah, like this is horrible. Why wouldn't you watch it?
Yeah, so there's that. But as for the origin, if we're looking at Jerry and Dorothy, I actually kind of blurted in the middle of this when we were watching it. Shit, I don't even think he's in love with her and they're already married. And Ryan's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's just not feel good.
Well, I mean, that's a big part of that wedding scene.
Is that his actual look of what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. And actually, I mean, even him agreeing to do it.
Yeah. And then she actually takes responsibility for that later. It's like, we're going to get divorced, but it's my fault.
Yeah.
Because I didn't recognize that
I thought we could do this enough. I could love us enough
for both of us.
That's hard. That's hard to watch.
So you're taking it well and I'm taking it like, ew. Well,
I mean, but it's just, I guess to me, it seemed...
My cynic wall is up.
Yeah. I mean, but it's the movie talks about this. It's not like oh, you're meant to believe that they're in love. It's pretty obvious that they feel very differently toward one another because when they're together, first off, he's away all the time. And second off, when they are together, there's that scene with Marcy and Rod where they're
where they're eating seafood.
Yeah. They're having seafood. And he's he kind of sort of hugs her, like
trying to be as physically affectionate.
Yeah, and it's clear there's something a little off. And I mean, they have a whole conversation about it. Him and Rod, Jerry and Rod have a whole conversation about it where he's like the next time you see those at the wedding and he's like, so you didn't have that talk, but I guess this is the other way to go.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about Ryan and I and how we are in public situations.
Yeah, but I mean, but this is also, it is a movie. These are sort of meant to illustrate their relationship. So whether or not they would actually do it is sort of not.
What's weird is that
it was a little intense though. Their whole seafood scene. I was like, okay, they are a bit much.
They're very, very affectionate.
Because they've been together for obviously a long time. They have a 6-year-old kid. I'm kind of okay, as much as I would love to, I feel in public there has to be a certain amount of decorum.
Even when we're with family, I don't think Ryan and I actually held hands in front of his parents until 5 years in.
Yeah, you guys are very different. I mean, you guys are kind of on the extreme of privacy sort of.
Extreme.
Yeah, no, I mean just
Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I think you guys are Mountain Dew extreme. I don't know. I don't know where this is going.
You call me.
But I guess no, it's fine. I mean, I'm just saying that's not a name. That's not a value judgment. It's just that I'm saying that spectrum. Of the couples I know, you guys are on a spectrum and you guys are on the extreme end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
But I also come from a family and it was very touchy.
Oh, right.
And it's a big part of the culture to be very affectionate with people you're close to.
You did hug me a lot more than I was used to in the beginning of our relationship.
Yes.
I always have to remind myself that.
Yeah.
You brought me further.
My father and I have walked down the street as adult, when I was an adult holding hands. It's pretty normal. My mom will walk. Yeah.
Interesting.
So.
Culture differences. So what's your excuse? Script?
Yeah. And even that, I'm saying that to say, even that made me I felt that scene. I was is this supposed to illustrate that they're so comfortable around, they're so comfortable around Jerry and Dorothy that they will be able to, but I think it's just that they're just that.
That's just how
they're just so in love.
I think so.
And they're so they're such a unit. They're such a team, which is, I think, makes sense because one of them, they sort of have to sacrifice for, she has to sacrifice for him. because that kind
all that time
away and the kind of knowing that it could end at any moment. And yet, it's like they have to be a team and they have to work together, and they make that very clear. And they only have 10, he said, I only have 10 years.
If that. Yeah. So that's why he needs to get the money now, because he might still be playing afterwards, but he won't be making as much money because he will be, overshadowed by younger players.
Or just like terribly injured.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I managed to pinpoint that I didn't think Jerry was in love with her even after they were married. And what's, I guess, helpful for this movie, but also kind of a flaw in my enjoyment of it, is they kind of make it abundantly clear when they fell in love.
Yeah.
Her thing is right after they had sex. I'm in love with him. I'm in love with him. I'm in love with him. I'm in love with him.
Oh, I didn't think that was when they fell. I didn't think that's when she fell in love.
You didn't think that's when she was? I was taking her at her face value. I'm just like, all right.
There was another point which the movie very clearly told him.
I'm listening.
So there was a whole scene. So basically she puts on the dress and she walks out.
I remember. I'm sorry. I fell for I know what you're talking about, and I fell for it, and I was, again,
then you forgot.
My cynic shield was up because I was looking at what was being thrown in my face instead of not was just on the unsubtle. No, go on.
I mean, they like the music swells and she's watching him like hang out with her, with her son. And that is, and actually now I can't even remember what like they were doing, but
he kisses Jerry on the cheek.
Yeah.
Give me a hug. And she actually kind of tilts her head and does the half.
She does that thing she does. But she looks.
You're right. That is the one. I'm going to stick with my crappy answer.
No, I think I felt like that was I think that's when the movie wants you to believe that she does. But I actually think it was when I think she reads that manifesto and then sees him do that thing. And she basically does it she does it for herself, but also, I think there's a lot of reasons she stands up, but I think one of them is like, my life is, I'm around all these people who have a lot, and I am like struggling, and I'm in a rut, and I'm only 26, and she says I'm the oldest 26-year-old in the world, but also I think she does it because suddenly she feels so much for him. And doesn't want to wants to give him a win so badly.
Got it. Oh, wow.
So I think there's two things. And so I actually think it was the manifesto because she keeps going back to it all the time.
Right. Well, that was her. I'm wondering if she's just holding on to something for dear life too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's the thing. Like there's kind of more to, it definitely, nothing goes in my mind, but like there's a little more to this movie, than just like the progression of the characters is a little like kind of more interesting than I remember it being.
That's good.
It's not like amazing, but it's brilliant. Good. It's really good. It was good.
It doesn't like withstand the test of, 20 something years later.
I felt like it did. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, okay.
And I enjoyed I think I enjoyed it a lot more because, it felt a little more true to life than, just like they fell. So anyway, when do you think he fell in love with her?
Well, it was before his speech to her. So it was probably in watching his he says that he was having a huge success with Rod and the fame that he's been getting. And, we had this big success and I didn't have it here with you. If anything, I think it was more along the lines of before he knew Rod was going to come back, that he felt everything flying away from him. And then even with that kind of going away, he was more concerned about the wellness of Rod, how it's going to impact Marcy. And then he was thinking about the whole family as a whole. And then also it's just like, oh, wait, why am I looking at everything in the lens of his career? And when he actually, in my brain, in his brain, he didn't even give a shit about the business or that. He was thinking about people as a whole, and in turn that made him think about his people and how he has no people, but he can still salvage the relationships that he has. So in my head, that's when he thought of him, even though in his speech, he made reference to, we had a big success and I couldn't share it with you. Instead, it was, I watched something so horrific happen in front, and it just made me think
and it's real.
And it made me think about how much I need to be with you, because that's how he is. He can't be alone. You know, they made a big point of that, is that he can't be this person. And I think he's just gripping again.
I kind of think so too, but I will say, I think, so in the middle of that, you know, the phone rings and it's Marcy.
Yep. Oh.
And he says, Dorothy?
Okay.
And the way he says Dorothy, I think it's basically, oh my God, here's this woman who, because she breaks up with him, right? I mean, she's broken up with him and he goes on this trip.
Yep.
And he says goodbye to the son because he's like so in love with her son.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's when she knew she had to break up with him.
Yeah. And Ray. And so she, you know, he's like, so, and he's obviously devastated. Like he's like, but when he picks up the phone and he's like, Dorothy, he's like, oh, wait. I think it just reframes their entire relationship as not like, oh, this person's going to be here. Like, you know, as you said, like he's terrified of being alone. I do think it's kind of ridiculous. Like it's supposed to be this big dramatic thing, but like he's actually done that before. Like he waits to propose until she's literally packed and moving to San Diego.
Yeah.
And it's clearly like a thing of, I didn't want to be alone. And so that is like where it kind of curdles a little bit for me. But if I'm going to go with what the movie, you know, the world of the movie, it's basically he realizes like, he doesn't just need a physical body be there. He needs a really specific person.
Okay. That's
because
nice.
he like when something horrible is happening, and you're right, he's not worried about him as a client. He's worried about him as a person, and he's worried about the family. Because instantly when it's Marcy, he like springs in like Marcy and really tries to take care of her.
Yep.
He's like, you're freaking out. I know you're freaking out, but I am like, and I know, you know, and he understands that like being like, he's fine is not going to help. Like he's very honest, and they're in that moment together as two people who care about the same man.
Yep.
And he recognizes that she cares more. Yeah. And I think that all I can say is like it just shifts his perspective, and it makes it like, so I think that's actually when, you know, he truly falls in love with her. Though I think he like, I mean, I definitely think he had, I mean, I think like that first night when they actually, you know, make love for the first time, like, I think he has very strong feelings for her. I think but I don't know if they're like, they're obviously mismatched, right?
In the affection category?
Yeah. Though I think actually at that moment they may not be as much, but I don't know. I think over time it's like he just can't get out of his own head and understand what it's like to like really, really, you know, need someone. Because in a way he's gotten everything without having to. He works hard, but
he works slick.
Yeah.
So it's not really the same thing.
Yeah.
Although it is.
But he does actually talk about his relationship with Kelly Preston, with a Kelly Preston character who is amazing that we haven't still, Avery Bishop. He talks about, he was like, yeah, I just, you know, no one realizes that relationship is hard work. And you know, Dorothy's like, does it like have to be that much work?
I took exception to that because relationships are work. And I don't want people to get the wrong idea of just like, I don't want people to get the perception of just like, when it's true love, it's not work.
Yeah, but I don't think she was talking about, I think like it seemed, I mean, they talked like basically the whole thing with him and Avery was so much about like, we're such kind of self-improvement, you know, freaks. And so the same thing happened, we have to have this really acrobatic sex. We have to have the best relationship of all time. We have to be perfectly truthful. We have to have, you know, crazy off the wall stuff. Like, yeah, like this is what you kind of work.
Yeah. This is what you need for a successful relationship. Oh, okay. We're going to do that to 10 and to 10.
Exactly.
To 10.
The extreme.
Yep.
on the other end
to the extreme,
the different extreme.
Yeah, we're going to take it. But like, so I think that she's, I think Dorothy wants something where it's like there's a certain ease between them.
Oh, for Avery and Jerry, it was a relationship is something that you win.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think he's confused by that with her.
Yeah.
With Dorothy.
So, yeah. Do you feel like he never kind of fell in love with her?
No,
either?
I think he did when the whole Rod thing was happening.
Yeah.
And I think that was his moment. But it was also clenched in the realm of being alone again.
Yeah.
But seeing
because basically
I think he's still trying to win, but he's trying to win like the version that Marcy and Rod are doing.
Yeah, which is a nice version.
It is a version. Yeah.
If I was going to win, that would be the one I want.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah. Again, I'm more attached to them than
yeah. I mean, they're also much more like as people are much more compelling. Mm-hmm. They're complicated, but they're also kind of
they're more mature in their relationship.
Yeah,
and I think I speak to that more.
Yeah.
And
though, man, they really have to like teach that little kid to be just a little bit better behaved. Like he tears apart Jerry's office.
Yeah, didn't care for that.
No.
Although I will say that when when she chastises him for saying mofo, I'm like, he could have said so much worse.
Yeah.
He could have said so much worse. So yeah, but that was
actually kind of
that's just me. Well, I'm going to use that as a springboard to the next part when you're asking like the fact that Jerry is still clenched in his old world of I'm in love with my wife again, but it's still like I'm afraid to be alone again, even though I see a good example of a relationship. I will tell you that with what happens next, I don't think it's going to stay together.
Okay.
I think he's going to find success again. And it's going to pull him back. And I don't think he has enough of a foundation out of that realm of competitiveness to really be able to maintain the relationship in the way that she needs. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think he's going to, I think she'll get fed up again. Mm-hmm. But he will, as much as he'll hate it, he'll still try to be in Ray's life.
Yeah.
Even though he's like so pissed about it the first time she says that we need to not be together anymore. Mm-hmm. But because he's ultra competitive, he's still going to try to be a dad to him because that's what you do. That's what you do on paper.
I don't think it's ultra. I guess I don't see that relationship as cynical. I think he genuinely has such a deep bond with that kid. I think they like.
No, I think the bond is real.
Yeah.
I think him being a good dad is part of the competitiveness of it. He will be bonding with him, but he will also, because did you see the end where Ray throws the ball back to the kids and he's just like, oh, like he's got a future. And I think that's going to be the headbutting version of it.
Yeah. I think he's going to, I think there's going to be a lot. I agree with you. There might be. So how long do you think it's going to happen? How do you think it's going to play out?
I think that for a good business, he's gonna grow. It's not gonna skyrocket. So the more business that he will be getting, the more it's gonna come into conflict. But that's not gonna happen overnight. So I'm gonna give it like 4 years of the business really, really, really taking off and being too much. And that's when the strain of the relationship is gonna start taking place. And it's gonna be in about the 5-year mark. They'll get divorced again.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that in a year or two, I actually think they're going to figure it out for a little while. I think that in a year or two, she's going to, want to step away from the business. Okay. Because it's just not going to make a ton of sense for her to be involved because
I wasn't sure if she had or hadn't officially.
I know. It was very odd because that whole thing with San Diego, I don't know.
Yeah. But she didn't take it. So.
She didn't take it.
I'm not sure how that makes medical care less expensive with them getting married, but apparently it makes sense in that movie.
Yeah, I don't know. 1996, they're a very different medical reality too. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Yep. Man, we're boring.
Yeah, I know.
What about the medical?
I was really like, well, are they going to stay in that house? Do they sell it? Yeah, I know. It gets really boring.
Are they saving her retirement?
Yeah. So she, I think that she is, I think she'll find something else because I think, she said, oh, I want to be inspired. And I think ultimately, like when they've kind of built a business, but I actually think he's going to struggle a lot more than you do. And I do think he'll find success, but I still think it's going to be a struggle. I also think, I think this idea of the kid being like a kind of maybe a baseball prodigy, he's going to get super involved in that. But then I think I think she's going to get super involved with, I think she's going to get super involved with something else.
You mean like her
own career. And I don't think it's going to be in sports management. Like, I don't think she's that interested.
I doubt it.
It may be.
Well, she was an accountant.
Yeah. I just don't think she's like, oh, accounting is a great way for me to like be in sports management. And I feel like she's going to find something, maybe some sort of foundation or something else where she is inspired, because it feels like the world sort of gives her directly. And actually, I think he's going to be super supportive of that, because he really recognizes how key she was to his success and her taking a chance on him. So I think he actually is going to be really, really supportive. I do think, though, I think eventually when Ray like gets out of becomes more like a teenager, young adult, I think that this kind of bond that they're going to have a lot of empty nest syndrome. And I think that like that's when, so let's say, he'll be approaching 50. I think he's going to have he's going to have a pretty major midlife crisis. Okay. I think he's not going to be that successful, actually. Okay. And
you're talking about Troy Aikman was just like, hey, that agent.
Yeah. But, as we've seen, like that is a pretty fickle thing. And I think that I don't think he's going to be unsuccessful. I just think that there's going to be these reminders and he's going to have yet another moment. And then I think at that point, she's like, you know what, we've had our run. And I think, I don't really see them like, growing old together. Okay. But I think it'll be amicable. Like, I think he'll do something stupid, but I think she'll get it or get why and kind of be happy that she isn't out.
You said he'll do something stupid.
Like he'll
sabotage.
He'll sabotage it. I think as part of this midlife crisis thing. And she's going to be like, you know what? I don't really have the patience for this. And I have my own, they're 10 years apart, I think is right. That's about 9. Yeah. So I think it'll come, when she's like, I don't have time for this stuff anymore. I think we need to like separate, and maybe, you need some time alone, and then, but they'll never get back together.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And apologies to those who are hardcore.
Yeah.
Jerry and Dorothy.
I get it.
Forever.
I don't blame you.
No.
It makes sense.
Not at all.
But she's lovely.
But we will ask, have you watched the movie recently?
Yeah, I would rewatch it as an adult. I think it's an interesting movie to rewatch. It's not painful. I didn't find it painful. Okay, let me not speak for others. And speaking of being an adult, let me not assume.
Any other thoughts you wanted to share?
No, I don't think so. Actually, the music in this movie is much better than I remember. There's a lot of Who. There's some good.
If I may, tiny shout out to Todd Louiso, who was also in High Fidelity. And he also is a very music-centric.
Yeah, he basically plays kind of the same character.
I know, and I'm just like, oh my God, is he auditioning for High Fidelity right now?
And it was great because, like, actually, that was a great scene because, Cameron Crowe is really into music. He was a writer for Rolling Stone. And so he, there's this whole great thing where he gives him, like, they kind of get interrupted in the middle of this, like, pretty hot and heavy scene. And then
the porch makeout
scene. And then, so basically, like, Chad gives him this mix because he was going to introduce rated jazz. And it's like, and it's, okay, so we got Coltrane. And then we have Miles Davis, which I'm fully on board with. And then it's just like the most kind of crazy experimental Mingus, and that is what comes on when they have sex. And it's funny because he actually puts on the tape, which I also find hysterical. Yeah. And then he had this he just like, it was a really hysterical scene because basically they're like, it's like he goes, this is going to change everything. And it's like very serious. And then she goes, I hope so. And then they're like, this music is the worst music to have. They didn't say, they're like, what is this music? But it's basically like, yeah, not. So I shout out to use of music in this movie is also better than I remember.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. There it is, Jerry Maguire.
It's there.
We want to know. And in fact, I will put this poll up on Twitter. Like I said before, what was more annoying that you heard when these movies came out? Show me the money or yeah, baby, yeah. Mm-hmm. It might just be a generational thing. We'll find out. I mean, they were both it's like the same time. I think it's just more that, it's annoying. Like what was, it's like who were you hanging out with? What was happening? What were people more attracted to? Okay. So we'll want to hear from you on that. And
yes,
if you
please.
have any other pieces of it, you can find us on Twitter at HEAMCast.
HEAMCAST.
And the same for Instagram. We're also at HEAMCast.
Yes.
We are on Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath. If you like us, please tell a friend. We would greatly appreciate it. That's how we get on people's radar is, your recommendations to people. They trust you. So, let them know if you like us. Be our, you won't exactly be our ambassadors of Quan, but you can be our ambassadors of listens.
Yes, we would love that because we would love to, we'd love our community. We'd like a bigger one.
And if you do want to be our ambassadors of Quan, we have a sponsor, Frankie and Mohr.
Tell me about Frankie and Mohr.
Okay, so Frankie and Mohr, that's FrankieandMyrrh.
Oh, good. I think that's the first time one of us actually got it right.
They specialize in aromatherapy, and Polina and I have been, sampling a lot of their different combinations. And recently, I have been working with their spray of Fight the Foot Funk.
Oh, how is that?
Okay, so I don't like to talk about my feet.
Who does?
But if it's right in the name, I'll admit that has its usage as well. But the other day I was using it, and then that particular smell was in my bathroom for the rest of the day, and it was incredible.
Ooh, I want to smell it.
Yeah, so it's lemongrass, tea tree, peppermint, and lavender.
Oh my God, it sounds like a wonderful combination. I love lemongrass. And I actually love all those.
And since I'm very susceptible to lavender. Yes. I stayed awake, so the lavender was very bottom on the list.
Because it was like offset by the peppermint, which is supposed to be peppy, and the lemongrass too.
Right in the name. Yeah. So if you go to their website, if you're interested in making a purchase, you can save 20% off by using the code HAPPILY.
Yes.
And so if you are also on their website, this isn't even connected to the code, but if you spend $35, you get free domestic shipping.
It's so good. And when the packaging is so delightful, like you just get all these really fun little extras. Yeah. And
so if you make a purchase, use that code, you're supporting the show. We appreciate it very much.
We really do.
All right.
And you'll get some good stuff. So
it's a win-win. It's excellent stuff. All right. So next time.
Yes. Okay. So keeping in the sports theme, I think it's time to tackle Bull Durham.
Bull Durham.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I need an excuse to worship Susan Sarandon.
So do I. Yeah. I feel like it's a good time.
Cool.
It's a good time.
What's the year again?
So that is 1988. So like 2 years after this movie.
Okay. Wait, no. Go backward. It's 8 years before Jerry Maguire.
No, it's 1988.
1988.
Oh, this was 90s. Oh my God. Yes.
Tom Cruise was 8 years old in this movie.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
All right.
I'm excited.
Well, the important thing is Bull Durham next time.
Yes.
There it is.
There it is.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.